I mean, it ain't so simple.
Having a nice face means what? Giving a guy a smile.
Yeah, greeting people with the. But it's interesting because he's saying that's how you come to love people, which sounds like if you're doing all these things, then you must love people, right? But he's saying do these. Right? No, it sounds like even if you're not loving the people, but if you do these things, you'll end up loving the people. That's what it seems to be what he's saying, right?
That's the chinuch sheet. Adam nifol kafi puloso.
Right, very good, right, yeah. Right, that's right, exactly. You do whatever you do is your clothing influences you and your actions influence you. Right. Yeah, okay.
I want to publicly thank Kaplan for working out the chillin for Thursday night together. Thank you.
What?
Kaplan was supposed to organize chillin on Thursday night together.
Give him a break, man. He organized a beautiful
The
shir.
shares and you have a Zoom share. How you organizing chont? What do you do?
We'll all go to Sviako.
So go
Yeah, we're
there.
supposed
No,
to do
stop
that.
you. No.
Yeah, we're
I
supposed
wasn't
to
going to show up. I'm not like other Naftali.
I grata just had a challenge. I'm telling you, it was not good. I'm not going to say where it came from. It was not good. It was not good. But yeah, Taco was supposed to work on that. I forgot. Well, next Thursday night, you're welcome to come, Naftali. Let's see. Come next Thursday night, all right?
Not if the CM's not then. Forget it.
Yeah.
Taco, be careful what you wish for. His wife doesn't want him home either next Thursday night. So.
No, we'll put him under the table by us.
I'll tell you one thing. I'm sure there's going to be another Naftali there. Trust me.
But there's only one Naftali who's a Kayan. Yeah. Anyways, okay. So Zakti Gemara. Yeah. So yesterday we had all the cases of all the 15 different arayos that you're patur from doing yibum from, and you're also patur from the co-wife. Yeah. So tonight, like the derech is in throughout Shas, is that before the Gemara goes into the technicals of understanding the subject at hand, what it does first is it goes through just why the mishnayos chose different terminologies and different lashonos, meaning it eases us into the hard stuff. So first the Gemara says michti. So Gemara first going to ask what the order is, right? There's 15 different arayos that are mentioned in the Mishnah. So the Gemara is asking michti, yeah, where it's 7 lines up from the bottom, beis on the base. So michti, let's see, kulu me'achais isha yafina, which we're going to see later on. But we know that all these arayos don't work. We know that from the wife of the sister of your wife, meaning the simple case would be 2 brothers marry 2 sisters. Right. For this, I don't think we need any complicated scenarios. Just 2 brothers marry 2 sisters, and then one brother dies without kids. Right. So now the surviving brother has to do yibum. Right. But the problem is that it's his wife's sister. So not only is it his brother's wife, it's also his wife's sister. So it's an extra layer of arayos. So since it's an extra layer of arayos, he's not allowed to do yibum to her. And the co-wife also doesn't get yibum, even though she's perfectly fine. Meaning if that brother that died had 2 wives, one this fellow's sister-in-law, and then a different wife, he's patur from both. So, and that's how we know from achais isha, from this case, to all the other cases of arayos, that if there's a second layer of arayos, then it doesn't work. L'mashal, if a guy has to do yibum to his daughter, right? Because his brother married his daughter. That was the case we said last night, the real-time case, whatever, not the real time, but using the Stein muscle, right? So then obviously he can't do yibum to his daughter, and he doesn't do yibum to her co-wife either, right? So they're all learned out there from the pasuk of achais isha. So then why isn't achais isha the first case mentioned in the Mishnah, right? What's the first case mentioned in the Mishnah? Daughter, granddaughter, right? That's what it starts with. These are all learned out from sister-in-law. So why don't we start with sister-in-law? That's the Gemara's kasha. So michti, kula me'achais isha yafina. We learn all these cases from. Yeah.
Excuse me. So the Tzara is a different level than the first wife, whatever you want to call her.
What do you mean?
Because what's the issue by her? But it's
Sorry, there's no
issue. So then that should be a halachos. Why isn't that halachos? What?
Well, that's going to be the Gemara's kasha, the next blot. That's mamish going to be tomorrow's daf.
Okay.
That's going to be tomorrow's daf. Right? But what the bottom line is that we learned it out from achos isha, that all the arayos are not, you're not allowed. If you end up having to do yibum to all of the arayos, then it's not allowed. Right? So michti kulam achos isha, listening achos isha bereisha. So why don't you say your wife's sister as the first case? And if you say we're going to go with the most strict, the stricter of the arayos first, Reb Shimon, and it's going called Reb Shimon Damar Sreifa Chamura. Reb Shimon holds that Sreifa, right? There's 4 different types of misa, right? Skila, Sreifa, Hereg, and Chenek. Reb Shimon holds that Sreifa is the worst. So that means it's the most chamur. So therefore we're going to go with all the cases of Sreifa first, right? So that starts with a daughter, and then it goes with the father-in-law's mother. All those are Sreifa, and so we want to go with the most chamur. So then why doesn't it say the mother-in-law first? The ikra Sreifa b'chamaisa ksiva, because the main place that it says that a forbidden relationship is chayiv of Sreifa is by a mother-in-law. And then after your mother-in-law, it should say your daughter-in-law, which is also Sreifa. The basa Sreifa skila, which is skila. The basa Sreifa skila chamura, then because after Sreifa skila, meaning the Gemara is thinking maybe the reason why the Mishnayos went in that order is because it wanted to go with the most strict of the relationships based on the severity of the punishment and then work its way down. So if that's the case, then it should start with mother-in-law and then go down to daughter-in-law. Ella, so then the Gemara says on the bottom line, Ella bitoy kiven da'asim midrasha chabibalei. Now bitoy, since it's learned out from a drasha, so that's much more love to the Mishnah because it's learned out from a drasha. So something that's learned out from a drasha, we'd rather say first, like, right? If somebody is going to say over a vart, you always say over your own vart first, not other people's vart. You want to say your own vart. So that some bitoy is learned out from a pasuk. So we'd rather go with that first. So the Gemara says, now on Gimel Abed Aleph, Kulu Nami Midrasha Asu. Everything is learned out from a drasha, right? The only one that it says straight out is as achos isha. But everything else is learned from a drasha. So why should bitoy be any more than, why should you like bitoy any more than anything else? So Gemara answers, Nehidulin in yibum asya midrasha. Yes, for yibum, we learn it all out from a drasha from your sister, that you can't marry, you can't do yibum to your sister-in-law. Right? Ikar isarayu bahedrik sivahu, but the ikar isar of all these arayos says it straight out. Bitoy ikar isura midrasha, but the daughter, that a person is not allowed to sleep with his daughter, that's learned out from a drasha. Dama Rava, Amrli Rav Yitzchak bar Avdimi, Asya Heina Heina, Asya Zima Zima. We learn out of Gzeira Shavim Heina Heina, and then Zima Zima. Right? And that's how we learn out that the daughter is Chayes Sreifa. Yeah. Okay, and that's all. So the Iker din of Bitoy is learned that that a man is not allowed to be with his daughter is learned out from a drasha, from 2 Gzeira Shavas. So that is more chaviv to the Mishnah than anything else. So then the Gemara says, Hashda da'amrit kol milsa da'asim midrasha chavibalei. Okay, so now that you're saying that anything that's learned out from a drasha is more love, then you want to say that first. So that's why Bitoy is mentioned first in the Mishnah. So then listening la'achos isha lebesayif. So then there's only one that's said beferish. That's achos isha, right? Your sister of your wife, right? I said sister-in-law before. It's not your sister-in-law. Well, I guess it is, and it is your sister-in-law. I mean, it's a double sister-in-law. But listening la'achos isha lebesayif. Right, so why do you just say achos isha? That's the one that says beferish. So that should go last in the Mishnah. So what it says, no. The answer is the higher beiser achasa tan achos isha. Once it started talking about sisters, So then it said achos ishtay too, because once you're talking about sisters, so continue with sisters. Meaning, even though really, since it's the one that said beferish in the Torah, it should come last. But since we already started talking about sisters, so then we'll leave it for the last. Okay, so then Gemara says, why don't you just leave the sisters for last? Meaning all the different cases of sisters, right? A sister from the mother and the daughter-in-law. Right? Why don't you just say all those things at the end? So now Gemara changes the pshat. Elatana kurbe nota. Right? The way the mishna is going is it's going with the closest relationships to the person who passed away and to the person who's doing the yibum. That it learned first. Tana bitoi, because obviously a person's daughter is his closest relative. Then bas bitoi, a granddaughter. Bas benoy, another granddaughter from the son. The kroive atzmai, those are mamish, his own relatives. Right? So those are the first ones I'm going to mention. And since we went down 3 generations, right? Because we had him, right? His daughter and granddaughter. So Tananami Shloisha Doris Lamata Dida. So we go with 3 generations from his wife. Right? Her daughter, son's daughter, right? Once we already said 3 generations down from his wife, then we go with 3 generations above her, like his mother-in-law, right? His mother's mother, whatever, right? His mother's, the father-in-law's mother. Then it says his sister and his aunt. Those are his relatives. And then once it starts talking about sisters, so it also says the one case that it says beferish in the Torah, which is achos ishtay. And really, your daughter-in-law should come before the wife of a brother who wasn't born yet, right? That was near the end of the Mishnah. Because that's not even usher out relations, right? It's not relative. But since it was already talking about siblings, so it learned Eishes Achiv Shaloi Haya Ba'alama. And then and then it left Kal there because Kal is in its own category. Right? Yeah.
Which one are you learning is the one that's not Mishum Kurva? Kalasai?
What?
Which one is the one that's not Mishum Kurva? You're learning it's Kalasai or Eishes Achiv Shaloi Ba'alama?
I think a bunch of them are not, right?
No, what we just said, this line that it just said, it's only that one, no? The Eishes Achiv Shaloi Ba'alama is because there was never a Zika. So it's not Mishum Kurva. It's a completely different reason. So that should have been the last one.
Daughter-in-law is not blood, right?
But it's not blood, but it is Mishum Kurva. All the Arva, every Arva is Mishum Kurva.
So then what does the Gemara mean?
That Eishes Achiv Shaloi Ba'alama should have been last. Because that's nothing to do with Kurva. It is a relative, but the Isser has nothing to do with Kurva. It's not because of arayos, it's because there was no Zika. There was never a Chiyuv. Before he was born, the Chiyuv started. He had no Chiyuv, so that's why it's Asur.
When was he born? Why is he a relative?
He's a brother, but he was born after. He was born after his brother died.
No, he's nothing to do with her. He's not related to her at all. There's no shaykhus.
It's the same. Yeah.
No
okay. See, hold on. You just matter an Isser Erev D'Oraisa.
Okay, good. So I have big plates. He has no relationship with her.
Okay, but the rest of the Shulchan Aruch holds that there is a relation.
Okay.
He's also to her.
What can I do?
No, he's the same as Erev as if he was born before. The Erev is there.
Why?
But the reason that there's no Chiyuv Yibum is because he was born after the Chiyuv existed. So there's no Zika by him.
That's what I'm telling you. He has nothing to do with this woman. Zero.
She's a sister-in-law.
He's not a sister-in-law. He has She was married to his brother that is dead for 9 years. There's no relationship. And he was born 9 years after his brother died. He has zero to
Hold on,
relationship with the woman.
you're going too far with the Chiddush Hakra. If they would have had kids, would he have been Asur Midaraisa?
She would be on hockey. She would be a hockey player on skates. They didn't have kids. No.
That's not the point. It's the same erva. That's the point. The erva it is. She's his sister-in-law. She's Asur.
She's not his sister-in-law. I beg to differ. You can tell me
Okay,
whatever you
Midaraisa
want.
she is. You have
Not his
places. I
sister-
don't.
not his- She has no relationship to this guy. He has
What?
no relationship with her.
This
married
What do
is
you
Very
want to
good.
say? Then what's Gershon? What do you want to say? That the daughter-in-law?
The daughter-in-law is related. That Mishum Kurva there is. All of the Mishnah is Kurva. The Isser for Eshes Achiv Shaloi Haya Ba'elamai to do Yibum has nothing to do with the relationship. The Isser is because he was born
I
too
think
late.
I think Taisus is saying what you're saying. What Taisus is saying. Taisus
okay.
Mekame Eshes Achiv. Right. Right. Rashi says 3 of the cases, the last 3 cases are not kurva.
Right, the Me'imah cases. Yeah.
Right. So Taisus maybe disagrees. Okay, so whatever it is, the reason why the order of the Mishnah, and I'm sure everybody didn't sleep last night because they were wondering about why the Mishnah puts it in such an order. I'm sure that was really a kasha.
1 second. That fight is over. It was so much fun. That's over.
Yeah, that's what happened. Taisus came and ruined it.
That Taisus guy.
Yeah, what can you do? Anyway, so
why do we care about the order here?
That's what I'm saying. For some reason, the Gemara, the derech of Gemara of Shas is goes through these technical points in the Mishnah before it really gets going.
Because we care about everything.
But it doesn't change anything. They're all Isurim.
No, but we care about everything.
Well, hold on, David. Hold on. They're all Isurim. They have
Correct.
They have different levels of punishment, but they're all Isurim. Why couldn't the Mishnah just say these are whoever's usher to you is usher and you have to do yibum or you don't do yibum, whatever. Why couldn't they just say that? Why do we have to go through a whole arayos of what is it?
Our life is not so simple.
Whose office?
Oh, because of the second Mishnah.
The
second Mishnah of Yevamos.
To you?
What?
Why is the Tzara answer to you?
What is that?
No, he's not saying that. He's saying, why do we need to list all the arayos? Just say every erva, sarasa yasura, atzay fa'ilam.
No, because this next Mishnah, which we're going to get to soon,
That's what I'm saying.
they have 6 more. There's 6 more cases that don't necessarily apply. I thought Simon Stam asking, why do we care what order the Gemara?
Well, that too. I'm not very eloquent, but the reality is like none of this. It doesn't sound like it makes a ton of difference.
You're correct. You're asking Simon. That's a good question. Look, Gemara sometimes says "L'may nafkamina." L'may nafkamina usually means what is the difference halachically, right? What do you want with this? So, right. So, what does the Gemara want with what order? There's 15 different forbidden relationships said in the Mishnah. Why does the Gemara care? The Gemara spends almost an Amud of Gemara on why it put it in that particular order. Yeah, I hear. I don't know. And the Gemara does this always with all the Mishnayos. It always goes to why are you saying it this way? Why are you saying it? Clearly, there's something that we're missing there that has to do with it, right?
Well, at the very least, it shows us how important the midah of Seder is. I mean, even if it was important to the Gemara, there's a secondary question. Even if it's important, why is that the first thing we're harping on? There's a lot that could be bothering us about this Mishnah, but the first thing is the Seder. But at the very least, it shows us how important Seder is. I mean, it's almost Shleishim Yom Kaidem Achag, so maybe it fits in like that.
Okay, I don't know. I hear. All right, it's a question. It's a good question. But anyways, so what do you call it? I bet you that I didn't look at the Masifta. If anybody has the Masifta, it's a Masifta type question to discuss. Yeah. But anyway, so the order basically the Gemara is saying is that the Mishnah was going in the order of relatives. Who's closer relatives? The closest the relatives first. Then it went down 3 generations from him, which is really 2 generations. The Gemara is calling it 3. And then 3 generations from her. and then up 3 generations, then the siblings, then daughter-in-law. That is the order of the Mishnah. Okay, now the Gemara continues, but these next kashas have a lot of practical halachic ramifications by the choice of words that the Mishnah used. The Tana Paitros, listening Isra. So the Mishnah says all these people, they're patur from doing yibum. What do you mean they're patur? Right, we mentioned in the Mishnah, patur sounds like if the guy doesn't want to sleep with his daughter because meaning even though his daughter is his sister-in-law, right? Using the example of where the brother married the niece, right? He's patur from being meyavim her, but patur is mashma that if he wants to, he could. Right? So Gemara is asking, Mari the Tani Paitros, listening Isras, you should say that it's Asr. He's not allowed to do yibum to his daughter. Right? So the Gemara says, Itana Isras, if it said Asr, Hava mina Asr liyavim, because it would say Asr, that means it's Asr to do yibum, aval michletz chalza, but you have to do chalitza. Kamash malon. So therefore the Mishnah is saying the word patur, which means that you don't do chalitza either. Right, so then where it says, okay, so then v'lisni asura lachet, so then just say it's asur to do chalitza. So the Gemara says, my kovid. How can you say it's asur to do chalitza? What are you doing wrong if you did chalitza? What's going to happen if you do chalitza? Nothing. You can't say it's asur to do chalitza, right? Saying if a strange woman wants to go over to a guy and say, hey, can you take this shoe and I'm going to slip it off and spit at you, right? I'm saying, okay. I mean, I don't know if they're going to get any.
Doesn't mean anything, but it doesn't mean anything either.
Right. So you can't say it's usher to do that. We're saying
it's usher to do the thing that has the meaning.
Right.
But to do it with no meaning, you could do anything you want. You could also shake a lulav tomorrow, but it has no meaning. Correct.
So that's what it's saying. So you can't say, I mean, would you listen, in my halacha text, should I text out tonight that it's usher to take a lulav and that's tomorrow?
I mean, it wouldn't be the strangest thing you've sent out, but
I was waiting for somebody to say that. Okay, you got me hook, line, and sinker.
You left yourself open for that.
Yeah, I left it wide open there. Anyways, but let's say I would do it, right? So I'm saying they'll think I'm a sugar anyways. You're right. So, but I'm saying, am I going to say, okay, by the way, don't do chalitza to your sister? Who cares? So if you do chalitza to your sister, what's going to happen? Right? It might be Meshugana that sends out text, but it's not there's nothing wrong. So how can you use a lashon? It's also to do chalitza. So the Gemara says, Allah maloi, why not? Right? Because if you're gonna say that she do chalitza, then she's gonna be miyavim. Meaning, if you're gonna tell them, right, that there is chalitza, they might end up doing yibum. So you have to say it's also to do chalitza. I mean, if you let somebody do chalitza, okay, let him do. The guy says, I know I'm really patur from doing chalitza, right? There are some people on this daf that would want to say, I want to do chalitza anyways, just to make sure, right? We're going nameless on who would want to do that, right? I want to do chalitza anyways. Let me do chalitza. You tell
me,
I
didn't say anything tonight. You don't have to make fun of me if I didn't say anything.
I'm telling you, I didn't say anything. I'm trying to behave myself. Listen, we learned about loving the fellow Jew in Musar before, so I'm trying to listen to that, right? So anyway, so the guy says, no, I want to do chalitza anyways. So tell him, let him do chalitza, okay? But then what's going to happen is then they say, oh, he did chalitza, so I have a choice to do yibum too. So of course you should say that it's also to do chalitza, right? So my answer is no. Since it's only when there's a mitzvah, that's where the tzaros is also. Mitzvah sharia, but if there's no mitzvah, right, then it's mutter, right? Meaning it's only a problem to marry a tzara when it's connected to yibum, right? But if it's not connected to yibum, then one can, right? So mashum hachi tani paitros. That's why it says patur. Meaning, theoretically, in a normal situation, a guy's brother, two brothers marry two sisters, right? And they both have kids. Baruch Hashem, they both have kids, and then one is nifter. So obviously you can't marry your sister-in-law. But he has another wife who's not related, right? So then, I'm sorry, you can't do that. That's not the right case. That's not the right case. But you could have a case where there's a third party there, and it has no connection through yibum, and then you would be allowed to, if that tzara is not related to you, then you would be allowed to marry. So that's why the Mishnah is saying the word patur to tell you that you patur from chalitza, but there would be a scenario where you would be able to marry the tzara if it's further down the road. Okay, fine. So that's why it says a lashon of patur. Then ma'ir detani mina chalitza mina yibum. Why do you have to say you patur from chalitza and yibum? Just say listening mina yibum l'chudei. Just say you patur from yibum. So my answer is no. Itan mina yibum. If it just said you patur from yibum, haven't mina michlatz chalza. Yibum ilamiyama. Good. So you patur from yibum. So you can't marry her because it's an erva, but you should do chalitza. Kamash malan that kala oilu yibum oilu chalitza. Whoever goes up to yibum goes up for chalitza, and call the chol she'ena oilu yibum ena oilu chalitza. If somebody is not oilu to yibum, then they don't go for chalitza. Meaning the two are connected. If you're chayiv in yibum, then you could do chalitza. If you're patur from chalitza, then there's no yibum either. Except we had one case in the mission was the Rabbanan, right? If you're listening min yibum min chalitza, so then why don't you say it's patur from yibum and chalitza, inami min chalitza l'chuda, or just from chalitza itself? So my answer is Abba Shaul, the Amar mitzvahs chalitza kademas mitzvahs yibum. This we'll have later on. It's a very interesting shita that Abba Shaul says it is a mitzvah to do chalitza before yibum, meaning you should try and convince this couple not to get married to each other. Right? Even though we said yesterday that the whole point of yibum is to get your brothers, that your brothers should have children, even though he was nifter. But Abba Shaul says that since Lamaisa it's an Isser, so you have to try and make sure that the brother's doing the yibum for the right reasons, and therefore it's l'chatchila to do the chalitza, to try and do chalitza first, right? Yeah, so that's why it says patur from chalitza and from yibum. Yeah.
Yeah, you have the Rashi in the bottom next to the last line. There's an interesting Rashi about Abba Shaul that he says. You get it next to the last line on the
what?
Rashi.
That he's saying that because you're doing the yibum because you like
no,
her.
because that's not a good thing. He's saying
right. That's why I was right. That's why Abba Shaul is concerned that the guy the guy likes his sister-in-law.
Yeah.
Right. He's
it's
not going to be. It's not going to be erlich.
Right.
He's that it's not going to be done for erlich reason. So therefore, Abba Shaul says, no, we want you to do the chalitza. The lechatchilas do the chalitza. If for whatever reason you can't do chalitza, so then you do yibum. So our Mishnah is like Abba Shaul, which is interesting, even though because we don't paskin like Abba Shaul.
I was just going to ask you.
Yeah, we don't paskin like Abba. Well, nowadays we do it because
we wouldn't have to put on most of us, or me. I wouldn't have to put on tefillin according to Abba Shaul. That's
right. You're saying why is the Mishnah?
Yeah, most days I wouldn't have to put on tefillin.
So. Yeah, so okay, but it's right. So, but it's interesting that our Mishnah is saying, "Oh, we're going according to Abba Shaul." Abba Shaul is a minority opinion, right? Again, Abba Shaul holds that we're afraid that the guy is not going to do the yibum for the right reasons. He's not going to do it strictly the kavana to keep his brother-in-law's his brother's name going. Right, he's afraid that the guy is going to like his sister-in-law, and that's why he's going to sleep with her. So that's why lechatchili want chalitza. So we don't paskin like that, but Lamaisa, that's what our mission is going like. Okay, then the Gemara continues, and this Simon is a kasha that the Gemara always asks. Is that the Lamaisa the Gemara gives a counting? It says 15, right? So minyana dereisha lemute mai. What is we can count ourselves. We don't need the Mishnah to tell us that it's 15. Right? Minyana de seifa. Right, where there is no counting in the Sefer. So Rashi says the minyan of the Sefer, the counting of the Sefer means when it says Harei Elu Paitros, the Mashma Elu Vasuloi, meaning the word Elu, the Gemara is looking at that's a second counting. So 15 in the beginning, and then when it says minyan of the Sefer, Lemute Mai, so what's that coming to exclude? On Tom Beis now. So we say It's coming to exclude the Rav and the Rav Asi. It's coming to exclude Rav and Rav Asi's shitas. So Rav and Rav Asi have shitas that Rav says that if the wife was mezana, right? Yes, I mean a guy is married, and one of his wives, he has two wives. One of his wives was mezana, so she's also to him, and then he dies without kids. So the Rav says that there's no yibum on that because it was not considered a marriage, and there's no yibum there, not on her, not on the one that was promiscuous, and not on the saita. And Rav Asi says is that if she was an islandess, which we learned yesterday, an islandess means that she cannot have children, but he voluntarily married her anyways. If he didn't know she was an islandess, then the marriage is not a marriage in the first place, right? But it's talking about where he knew that she was an islandess and he still married her. But even so, since that marriage could never have had kids, they're both patur. So those are the two cases, saita and islandess. So our Mishnah doesn't say those cases. So that's what we're saying. That according to our Mishnah, Rav's case and Rav Asi's case would need yibum. Rav and Rav Asi hold they don't need yibum because the marriages are not a marriage, right? But our Mishnah would hold that they are to exclude Rav and the Rav Asi. Fine. So then what it says, the Rav and the Rav Asi, the mutemai. So what about Rav and Rav Asi? They obviously hold that these two types of women. This should be case number 16 and case number 17. Our Mishnah says 15, so we're saying it's coming to exclude Rav and Rav Asi, which would be 16 and 17. Okay, so what about Rav and Rav Asi? What are they coming to? So they have to learn Rav and Rav Asi on arayos, right? They have to learn the Mishnah too, and the Mishnah says 15, and it has those 15 cases. So what's it coming to exclude? So if Rav and Rav Asi hold of each other's dinim, so tzaros. So then one. Meaning, so they both hold of each other, so then they have to come up with two other cases. So one is going to exclude a tzara of a girl. We said miun yesterday, which is a girl who was orphan, and then her siblings married her off, and she denied the marriage. Right? She has the right to deny the marriage till she's bas mitzvah. So that would be excluding that case, and it's becoming to exclude the case of machzir grushasa, which is that a man is married, they get divorced, the wife goes and marries somebody else, then the din is that she's not allowed to go back to her first husband, right? So since she's not allowed to go back to her first husband, and she did, so the whole thing was usher anyway, so therefore there's a patur from yibum in that case. Fine. So the Gemara says, and if they don't hold of each other, one is coming to exclude the friend, meaning Rav will come to exclude Rav Asi's case, and Rav Asi will come to exclude Rav's case. And one is coming to exclude the one that did miun and the one that did machzir grushasa. Right? Okay, so then the Gemara says, L'Rav Asi, listen in who? How come, according to Rav Asi, it's not in the Mishnah? Yeah, meaning, how come the Mishnah did not include their cases? So they answer, you cannot have the case of saita and the case of miun cannot have the second level. Remember, we said tzaros, meaning if the wife who was patur from yibum went and got married to another brother, and then that brother died, so then the tzaros till the end of the world is all going to be patur, right? So you can't have that because then both of these are usher to marry any of the brothers, right? Because she was mezana, right? So they're also to everybody, and the islandess is also also. So therefore, there's no way neither one of these can go and get married to anybody else. So therefore, you will not have the second level of tzaros. I hope this is a little understandable. But okay, but if not, it's fine. So now we're done with the technicals of the Mishnah. Now, how do we know, Taka, that you're not allowed to? What do you say?
Well, why can't this second man volunteered? He wants to marry the islandess. She's a DuPont. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think because he wants to make money.
Yeah.
I guess I'm assuming because the marriage is not considered, even though the guy may agree to it, but it's not a legitimate marriage that can have any kids anyway.
No,
So
before you
the whole
said it was
yibum,
legitimate, before you said if he wants to, it's a marriage.
he did it. He did it. So he's considered married to her. It's not a mekach tois, but it's not a marriage that could have ever ended up with kids anyway. So Mamela, it's out of the whole yibum.
No l'kaim shem la'achiv.
Because it's not going to happen anyways.
Right.
The question is why the tzara.
Because l'kaim shem la'achiv becomes aser.
Right, but the question is why the tzara. Right, because so the tzara
Well, that's
piggybacks
like
on her. Right, so the tzara piggybacks on her. Right. Anyways, okay. So the Gemara asks, "Minani mili, how do you know the case in the Mishnah? Meaning, how do you know that even though the one wife is patur because it's a forbidden relationship for them to get married? What about the tzara? The co-wife is perfectly fine, right? Why can't the co-wife get yibum in order that she should have kids, right? Again, when you have the case where your yibum falls to somebody who's not allowed, who's an erva to him, so he's not allowed to have yibum. So we're saying not only is he patur, is she patur, the one that's the erva, even the co-wife is patur. Why? Why should the co-wife be patur? There's a mitzvah in the Torah to be mekayim the zera from the brother. Why should she be patur? She's not a forbidden relationship. Her co-wife is the issue, not her, right? So that's what the Olam was asking yesterday. So the Gemara is going to learn that from Psukim. So how do you know? The Tanra about an isha elachos loisikach litzror legalis ervasa aleh b'chaya. Right. So it says a woman, right? Somebody shouldn't take a woman and plus a sister to make a tzror, means a co-wife, to be megala erva b'chaya when she's alive. Right? Meaning you're not allowed to marry two sisters when they're alive. We said yesterday that if one sister dies, then you are allowed to marry another sister. All right, so we're saying, so the pasuk says you're not allowed to take two sisters as wives. Oleh matam alaymer. Why are you saying the word oleh? The fishanemar, somewhere it says yevama yavoy oleh. It says that you should come on to your yevama. So that's telling me when it says yevama yavoy oleh, doesn't say that you shouldn't, that anything about arayos. So you would think that even if it's arayos, then you're allowed to do yibum. So nemar kan aleh and nemar lahalan aleh. No, but it says here aleh, and it says further aleh malahal b'makom mitzvah, just like over there by yibum. It's only when there's a mitzvah. So afkan b'makom mitzvah. So to here. By a sister-in-law, it's only by mitzvah. And the Torah says, don't take a sister-in-law. So since the Torah said not to take the sister-in-law, that means that when it's an additional isser of erva, you're not allowed to marry her. Okay, so that tells you that you're not allowed to do yibum to your sister-in-law, right? Meaning to your wife's sister. But tzaros minayin, how do you know that the co-wife that you're not allowed to? So Tamilomer litzror, it says for litzror, which means a co-wife. Fine. So vainly tzaros. So that only tells you the first level of tzara, the first level co-wife. Tzara tzaros minayin. How do you know that if that third brother goes and marries the tzara, and then he dies, that tzara who has another tzara that falls in front of the original brother, can't they? That's still their patur. Tamalemar litzror. It says litzror v'loy lotzur. There's an extra ration there, so therefore it sounds like that there's more than one type of tzara. Mainly ala achos isha, but that only tells you good. So that only tells you your sister-in-law, your wife's sister. Shar arayos minayin. How do you know all the other arayos? It's going to patur. It's going to make a patur. So amrit, we say. It's just like a sister-in-law is miyuchad. She's an erva to him, meaning your wife's sister you're not allowed to marry. And if you do, it's a chiyav kares. And if you do it by mistake, it's a chatas. And she's also to have yibum. because of the pasuk af kol. So then anything that fits the same parameters is also going to be also. Af kol she erva, v'chayavan as doina kares v'shiguchatas are all going to be patur. And asura liyavim, there's some not patur, they're also to be miyavim. Fine. So that only tells you that. Then, what about their tzaros, the co-wives? So we say amrit ma'achos isha miyuchedes. So the same thing, just like your wife's sister, that's miyuched she erva v'chayavan doina kares v'shiguchatas. Pasur liyavim, b'tzarasa asura, and her co-wife is asur. So afkol she erva v'chayavan doina kares v'shiguchatas pasur liyavim tzarasa asura. Fine. So
what's miyuchedes about it? About this erva? Is that it's only this one that has kares and chatas? I just don't know. Is that so miyuched?
What do you mean? Why it uses the lashon of miyuched?
I just don't understand what exactly is so special about this.
Oh, you mean why is it using the terminology of miyuchedes?
It's making it like, oh, this achis isha is an erva, it's chayev kares and a chatas, so to right. Everything else. Is that not every single erva, or it's only?
You're right, because that's the next line. The next line says so to every other case. I thought miyuchedes meant that these are the things about it. This is what's miyuched about it. There's 4 things, 3 or 4: erva, kares, chatas. 4 things. I just thought it meant that it's miyuched. I don't think it means miyuched like miyuchad, like this is like the best. Just like these are the characteristics about it, and there's 4 of them. So any other ones that fit 4 of the 4 characteristics are also going to be awesome. That's your kash is better than my answer, but I hear.
So Yaakov, the brother who was nifta, let's say we know that he couldn't have children. So what he physically couldn't have children.
Right.
So then what are we doing? I mean, the way I learned the Chumash always, maybe it was naive, is that they didn't have children. He got killed in a car wreck a year after they were married or whatever. What?
You mean it's a highness, but he could have theoretically had kids.
Right, but we found whatever, never. He couldn't have children. And then he was nifta.
Right, so okay, but I don't know what I'm saying. So you want to say that if a guy can't have kids, that's it. So why are we trying to play God and try and get him to have kids, sort of like that type of thing?
He never could have had, so...
I hear. So I don't know. Why wouldn't we try and get him to have kids? I mean, whatever that means. L'hakim shem la'achid. I don't know. I hear.
Okay.
Isn't that the lesson from the Imahis? They're all akaris, so we would never say such a thing. There's no such thing as someone can't have kids. I mean, whatever. I don't mean.
I'm not. I'm sorry.
Hold on, let me finish.
You're a mimin and I'm not a mimin. Good, enjoy that. Fine, good.
Okay, now I'll enjoy it. Now that you have to say that.
Listen, after last night, he's zicher a mimin, right? That's zicher. All right, after yesterday's drive, whatever. Right? Now's not the day. But anyway, so let's see. So then the Gemara gives us a freebie of 3 lines. From this we say, based on this, that's what we say our mishna. Fine. So then the Gemara says, and then the next mishna, really we should have probably seen the next mishna. There's 6 arayos that are more chomer than all of these. Right? Meaning, where they're married, that's meaning they're even more chomer than this. Yeah.
So first we do the 15 that are less chomer, and then we do the 6 that are more chomer.
Yes, meaning the 6 that are more chomer, where they're not even allowed to be married to the guy who was. There's nothing more chomer about them. It's just they're not even allowed to be married to the person who died. Right, meaning there's no way that any of these could have ever married the brother. What is it? What are the cases again? How does it go? What's the cases? What daf is that on? What daf is it? These are new Gemaras. You can't. Right, on Daf Yomi Yevamos. Right. What is it? Hold on a sec. Okay, whatever the cases are, whatever case it's later in, whatever the cases are, but those 6 cases are not able to marry anybody. So Yochel, meaning from the brothers. So Yochel Shani Marba Av Sheish Arayos Chamurus Mielu. You would think that we should be marba all these other 6 tzaros and asuris. Their tzaros would be awesome. Meaning these 6, they're not. They can't marry the brother, but maybe their tzaros should also not. But we're going to say no. So Amrit ma achos ishta miyuchedes she erva, that it's an erva v'chayav and as daina karas v'ashigul sachatas, and you're chayav on a mazid karas and on a shoygek chatas v'afshuli nasi la'achim v'asur liyavim, and she could marry the brothers and she's also to have yibum. It's tzaros asura and her tzaros asur af kol she erva. So all other cases where it's an erva v'chayav and as daina karas v'ashigul sachatas. And you're chayiv on the mazid b'karis on shigos achadas ve'efshuli nasi la'acherim, and it's able to marry others ve'asur liyavim, and it's also liyavim. So tzaros atzura. So the tzara, meaning the co-wife, would also be asur. Yatsu sheish arayos chamuros me'elu comes to exclude these 6. Hayol di efshuli nasi la'achim, since these 6 are not allowed to marry any of the brothers at all. So then, therefore, that it's so strict that they can't marry any of the brothers. So they're saying mutaras. Their tzaros are going to be mutar. She'ain tzara ela me'ach, because the only way you get to a co-wife is from a brother, right? So since there is no brother here, because none of these brothers are even in the parsha of even ever being married to these 6, so therefore the tzara would be mutar, right? So therefore, that's the chiddush, that these other 6 from the next mishna, the tzaros would be mutar, right? So Gemara says, Ashara. Okay, that was a little bit difficult. Those times. Ashara Shomanu. So as we know, every time there's an isser, every time there's an avera in the Torah, so there's a pasuk that has to tell you what the avera is, and then there has to be another pasuk for the punishment. So Gemara says, okay, so Ashara Shomanu, you just told us where it's usher to marry the co-wives. Einish minayin. How do you know that? What's the punishment? It says anybody who's going to do any of these te'evos, and then it's going to be karas. So therefore, you see that anybody that's going to do yibum to any of these tzaros, it's going to end up to any of these wives or the tzaros, then it's going to end up being a chi of karas, because they're not allowed to. Again, it's his brother's wife. So since it's his brother's wife, so therefore he's not allowed to. What's the problem, Gershon? You trying to say something, Gershon, or he's telling somebody else? Okay. So anyway, so therefore it's an einish. So we hear the ashara from this. We hear that it's an einish. It's einish of karas. Okay, so we'll stop here. So what time tomorrow? 5 o'clock.
Jacob's mana for tomorrow. What do you want to do?
5 o'clock, right? Look, bench at 5:40. So 5 o'clock.
Okay.
Motzei Shabbos.
They changed the clock.
So why don't we? Should we just start?
Well, I mean, I hope we do the block.
Also,
I hope we do the block before we change the clock.
Yeah, that definitely should be done. Also, there's a big malka.
Yeah, but that's only to get to you and Langer.
What's the
and you, if you forgot, and you.
I'm done with that. Now I do others and others. I learn with myself, so I get to learn a lot more. I don't know. What does the Olam rather want want? Motzei Shabbos right after Shabbos? Because we changed the clock.
No, 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock.
We're gonna move it back earlier. Okay, so 8 o'clock. We'll do it.
No, I don't know, 8:15, whatever time. So around there.
Shabbos is over. Rabbeinu Tam is over. It's about 7:12, right? So, okay, we'll call it.
Byron, you're not going to be recovering from the big kiddush?
I might be, but that's what I do. And what this is for the greater good.
Okay, so
8
8
o'clock, I
o'clock.
can make it. If I can't
See,
make it, I
Yaakov,
won't
someone
make
told me
it.
last week that Rabbeinu Tam in Florida is a different cheshbon than the Rabbeinu Tam in New York. You ever hear such a thing?
Yes.
All you have to do is ask.
How often is that?
The Bein Hashmashas in Florida, as you get closer to the
Closer to the
equator,
equator.
the Bein Hashmashas, is twilight is certainly a lot shorter. It gets much darker in Florida faster than in New York, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what it is. So that's
Why it's like in Eretz Yisrael. It gets much it gets darker.
correct. Because anything closer to the equator, that's all. I'm just parroting closer to the equator. Don't make it think I have any idea why closer to the equator makes it a shorter.
Jacob, 1 second. We can ask Naftali Land now. He knows. 1 second.
It's because of the circumference of the earth.
Yeah, no.
That's all
So
I
therefore
know.
what?
I'm parroting.
So what's the cheshbon? How do you make a cheshbon or Rabbeinu Tam?
So no, so the same way Ramesh says.
You get a luach for Miami, not for New York.
MyZmanim.com.
That's right.
It's
Like
not
that,
like it's
Ramesh-
today's post game. No,
Well, no, Ramesh says.
they ask. Yeah,
What?
they ask on the Beis Yosef. The Mechaber says it's 72 minutes. They said, but Lamaisa, it doesn't make sense. He lived in Sfas when he
It's a
wrote
push
it.
to 80. You can only hold 60.
There's no 72 minutes in Sfas.
By the way, you should know.
So there's Machlekes
Talk
HaPoskim
about the
how to learn
equator.
it.
Lower colored diamonds next to the equator look whiter than further away. Interesting
Is
fact.
that
That's
true?
so?
It says,
Michael, is that true?
it
Yeah, it's
says
true.
on Dr. Google that the sun is higher up by the equator.
Yep.
So when it's lower down, it
Yeah,
stays across the horizon for longer.
yeah, it says
Jacob,
that
it's good
the
to know.
sun.
It's good to know for neither, Shilas. If you're looking at a mirror in the sun over there by the equator.
Well, maybe you can make more money on the diamond. That's what I was thinking.
No, just it's whatever. What about? Didn't we say that all the others kept Kol Torah Kula?
Yeah.
How did Yaakov Avinu marry to Shvais
Okay, his
Svesters?
age, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, these are all yeah.
The
Somebody asked
Rishonim all ask the question. The Rishonim.
Yeah.
What they say?
Did they keep 72 or 60 minutes? That's a better question.
Anyways, getting back to
They
the
only
original
kept
question.
52.
Getting back to the original question, Ramosha says Rabbeinu Tam in New York is 50 minutes, 50, not 72. Right?
Now you tell me.
So, that's what Ramosha held.
Yeah,
So in
Well, 1
Florida,
second, Michael, you want to move back?
maybe.
No, Florida it's even less. Florida, Ramosha would say it's even less.
So what do you hold when you're in Florida? When you visit your
72.
tachter? Huh?
72.
He's not in a
72.
rush to turn on his phone.
Right.
Correct.
I'd
Jacob
hold it
holds-
till Sunday
Jacob
morning.
holds 120 whenever he can.
No, most of
Yep.
the poskim hold like that. 72 is 72. That's what the Mechaber says. And he
No,
lived
when
in
I
a
was in
place
Eretz
where
Yisrael, I didn't keep 72.
really? Oh, before.
Why?
Okay.
Why?
Because it's crazy. It's 70. There's no way 72 is Rabbeinu Tam. Eretz Yisrael, it's like 25 minutes and that's it. Half
That's
hour.
what the Mechaber says. The Mechaber lived
Yeah.
in Eretz Yisrael, and he said 72.
It's hard to know.
So that's exactly what Ramesh is saying. That's what you just said is Ramesh's timing.
Guys,
I think
what's
it's
the
almost
72 in
impossible.
Cleveland situation?
Well, forget Cleveland. I grew up in Gateshead. 5
All right,
hours
we
further
forgot it.
north is 5 hours further north is Glasgow, in Scotland, right? There's a from Kehillah there. In the midsummer, 72 minutes is after Alois.
Get out of here. Sunday morning?
Matzah Shabbos comes out after Sunday morning, which doesn't make sense, obviously. So 72 minutes can't exist if you go further north than
Boy,
wherever.
that really messes up Abba Shaul.
Obviously, Banim, they make Havdalah while it's still Shabbos for the kids.
It's breakfast.
Yeah, no,
My
well,
uncle,
there's
my
two
uncle
ways
from
to do it.
Sweden, My uncle from Sweden used to make Havdalah at 12 o'clock at night, growing up.
Yeah, that's how it goes. It's impossible.
Some people used to make it Sunday morning. It was so late, they went to sleep.
Because it's a suffix. It never really gets dark. It never gets fully black further north. So what do? Shabbos is the whole week now?
Tiago, you would love that.
100%. But it's a big issue. That whole issue is that's a big issue. What are you gonna do?
How is it mutter then to live in these places where there's such shilas on Shabbos or living in Hawaii? You don't know what day is Shabbos.
The dateline, the international dateline is a problem.
Well, that's Hawaii.
The Lubavitcher have big shilas with this stuff, I think.
Yeah.
No, Parker, they don't have any shilas with this.
Right. They're doing the Rebbe's title. You can do whatever you want.
No, but seriously, how is it like
No, I think some parties can discuss that. Why it would be mutter to do that. They do. They say you shouldn't live there.
It can't be that the Rabban Shem would give us options not to live places.
Why he has pigs out? We can't eat those.
Right.
I know, but but there's a halacha. It says that in the Bible, Simon. You know? It doesn't say don't live in Hawaii.
The point is that there's types of fish you can't eat, right? So there's things you have to refrain from.
Yes, and we have Gedarim for all of those.
Yeah, but I was saying it says the days in the
Simon, what does that mean? You got to put down you can't live in Lakewood?
There's other term than living in Lakewood, you know.
Hold on, we're still recording, guys.
Mote Shem Ra doesn't apply here unless it's recording, right?
Only if it's recording. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not scared of Hashem. We're only scared of people.
Right.
Which is better.